The Monterey County Housing Authority Development Corporation meeting Monday, April 22nd, starting at 5:04 p.m. We'll call to order. It's called to order by, I'm sorry, 5:04 p.m. Roll call, please.
You want to do the Pledge of Allegiance first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mine doesn't say that. But we can, yeah. Mine doesn't say it though. I apologize.
No problem.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I'm sorry.
Hey, James, you wanna?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My screen shows it, but my I was looking at my paper. I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Okay, Chair Francine Goodwin,
Present.
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson,
Here.
Director Kathleen Ballestaros,
Present.
Director Hans Buder,
Present.
Director Maria Orozco,
Present.
Director Kevin Healy.
Present.
Okay, that concludes the roll call.
Comments to the public? Is there anybody from the public? I'm sorry, not to the public. Comments from the public? Is there anybody on the phone, Gabby?
We have no one in person. Anyone online, speak up.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. Minutes. Approval of minutes from the special board meeting held on April 12th, 2024. And approval of minutes for regular board meeting held on March 28th, 2024.
I make a motion.
I'll second to approve. Can I make a substitute motion that we continue that item because the minutes aren't included unless they are somewhere else in the packet?
Yeah, they're in the other ones that were sent. The
Other ones
updated
that
packet.
was- Updated packet.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not get it updated. All right, seeing an updated packet.
Well,
You make a good point.
So that's okay. They're in the
Why
updated
don't, you
packet.
wanna just push them forward to next month?
just table them till next month.
Sorry.
That's okay,
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the board can vote to approve them if they've seen them.
if they got,
Yeah, I got mine.
I haven't had a chance to read them
Okay.
because I was in the car whenever that email came out.
I could make a motion to table for the next meeting, the next month. For the minutes, and
And I'll
that way
second.
everybody could review.
Appreciate that.
Was there a second?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna be going into closed session. It's now 5:07.
Francie, I think you need to just you need to do a roll call on the,
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
agenda.
Table.
I'm sorry.
it's okay. Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes,
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Ballestaros.
Yes.
Director Hans Buder,
Yes.
Director Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Director Kevin Healy.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes it. We can move forward.
now do we go into closed session?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, we're gonna be going into closed session. It's 5:08 p.m. For the directors, the board of directors, will meet in closed session for the following purposes. Government Code Section 54956.95. And there'll be four items addressed to discuss.
All right, we're going into closed session. Marcus, Nora, and Gabby, please stay for the closed session.
Open for regular session at 6:33. Am I saying it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And you have to say that there was nothing to report out.
there was nothing to report out. We're going to assume the regular meeting.
Okay. And so when you're ready, we can go to new business.
Okay, and new business is, HDC, MDC 233.
Okay,
Do you want me to read all that?
No, ma'am, I can read
Okay.
it.
Okay,
So for item A, resolution 233 is authorizing a partnership with Monterey County and King City as outlined in the encampment resolution fund application that was recently awarded. This is a project to expand affordable housing in King City through this application.
I move approval of resolution number HDC MDC 233.
And I second.
All right. Ms. Francine, you want me to do the roll call vote?
yeah, go ahead, thank you.
Okay. Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes,
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Bellastros.
Yes.
Director Hans Buder,
Yes.
Director Maria Orozco.
Yes.
Director Kevin Healy.
Yes.
Okay, it's, Ms. Francine,
yes.
you have to pass the motion.
Oh, okay, okay, motion passed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, for item B, before we talk about that, I'd like to make one correction to the wording of the resolution. In the bottom line, it says president/CEO to execute such documents as necessary for the development of the, projects. Take out the word execute, that should say negotiate. And this resolution is.
I think you would also need to amend the second, be it further resolved in the resolution itself.
Okay, so that's it. All right, and then make the necessary correction, and to make the necessary corrections to the resolution to make sure that it's not executing in the documents, but instead to negotiate the needed documents. And this is for Greenfield lot and parcel B to be able to do pre-development and determine what type of low-income affordable housing we can have at both of these locations. That will fit the particular market. And to do that under HDC and bring it back to the board after everything's been negotiated and we want to execute to move forward if approved. Can I please get a motion from the board to move forward with this?
I'll make a motion for resolution MDC 234.
With the necessary.
With the necessary corrections.
Mhm.
Second.
Okay. All right, and I'll do the roll call vote. Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes,
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Bellastros,
Yes.
Director Hans Buder,
Yes.
Director Maria Orozco,
Yes.
and Director Kevin Healy.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes the roll call vote. So Ms. Francine, if you will pass the motion.
motion passed.
Okay, and that concludes the new business. So we had director comments. Ms. Francine.
Okay, director comments, starting with, Yuri Anderson,
No comments.
okay. Kathleen,
Thank you for all the information provided for the meeting.
Hans,
No comments.
okay. Maria,
No comments.
okay. Kevin,
I'll go with no comments as well.
Okay, I just wanted to, thank, Talika for all her support for this meeting, and for all the information. Thank you. Uh, At, at this time, we can, adjourn at 6:38 and move into, the HACM meeting, I believe.
Thank you. Yeah, Gabby, can we take a little 10-minute break?
I think
Yeah.
the 5.
Well, 5 minutes.
No, 10.
Oh, 10. Okay, 10.
All right, we are going to call this meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey to order at 6:48 p.m. And we've already done the Pledge of Allegiance, so we are going to jump right into roll call.
Okay, Chair Hans Bluder,
Present.
Vice Chair Kathleen Bellastaros,
Present.
Commissioner Kevin Healy.
Present.
Oh, I couldn't hear me. Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
Present.
Commissioner Maria Orozco.
Present.
Commissioner Yuri Anderson.
Here.
All right, that concludes the roll call.
Okay, are there any comments from the public? Is there anybody on Zoom?
No one on the call.
No one in person. So then we're gonna move on to item 4, which is the consent agenda.
And, excuse me, Chairman, I would like to add under number 8, information in item L. It's the property spotlight. And the property will be King City Migrant Center.
Okay. So the consent agenda, which consists of approval of the minutes of the February 26th meeting. Would anybody care to make a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 26th, 2024 meeting.
Second it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Ballesteros and seconded by Commissioner Roscoe. Roll call, please.
Chair Hans Bluder,
Yes.
Vice Chair Kathleen Bellastaros.
Yes.
Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Commissioner Yuri Anderson.
I'm gonna abstain from the vote.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. We are gonna move on to item 5, which is reports of committees. And the first one is the Board Reports Committee. We have not selected a chair of the Board Reports Committee. That was an error on our part, but I'll just speak for that. You know, Commissioners Anderson, Goodwin, Healy, and myself met the other day, and we basically created a project plan to go through each of the board reports, you know, department by department, spend 2 meetings on each board report. We're trying to bring in a consultant to kind of guide us through the process, and we are going to look at other exemplar board reports from other high performing housing authorities. So, would the 3 of you add anything to that? Okay. How about the Development Ad Hoc Committee? Did you all get a chance to meet? Commissioners Healy and Roscoe?
No, we haven't met yet.
The Policy Committee has not met.
We have not met.
Okay, great. Okay, then we're gonna move on to the report of the secretary and
Okay, just a couple of things real quick. Under informational update, I want to make you aware of all of the changes that HUD is making this year. So PIC, which is the system that has been used since housing begun, I think, I don't remember the exact year that they started it, but it's the traditional system for all of the tenant information, the housing authority information. This is where your 5/8 go, your capital expenses, things of that nature. They are transitioning away from that. July 31st will be the last day that PIC will be active, and all information is going to the new platform HIP, which is the Housing Information Portal. It's very important that our programs, especially Section 8, get all of the information in PIC corrected. If not, the errors will stop us from being able to pull the information over, or we'll pull over errors for us to be able to, in compliance with HUD. This is a very big undertaking, because again, this is what everybody's been using for years. So all of the information for this housing authority, since it was created pretty much, is in this system. And we have to just go through there, check for errors, and then have it ready to be pulled over by July 31st. And this is a HUD initiative, so nobody has a choice. They've been talking about it for a couple of years, but they actually doing it now. The second one is the HQS quality inspections. Section 8 inspections follow what's called the HQS process. HUD under HACM has went to Inspire. Inspire is more resident driven. You have to use it starting October the 1st of this year. So that all the inspectors will have to get Inspire certified, which means that a majority of our staff will have to get it, because the HPSs do their own inspection. And they gotta change the way they think about the inspections. HQS was the uniform business code, uniform code, you know, it looked at the water heaters and what's going on in the unit, things of that nature. Inspire is taking a deeper look, and it's also looking at it from like a resident perspective. But they want to make sure that all the health and safety issues are done, and they want to keep you from being able, what it is under HQS is some stuff that you don't do and you still can pass, but it's really not beneficial for the tenant because it can lead to subpar living conditions. So they're trying to take that away, where nobody will be able to do that by using the Inspire inspection. I personally think it's a good thing, but it's just retraining your mind, because HQS, you've been doing it for 10 or 15 years. So that's something that we're working on, and that affects the whole housing platform. So not only is that Section 8, that's also multifamily, because the REAC inspections they get, that'll be the type of inspection they'll be getting moving forward. And so the property managers need to recognize the issues, and maintenance need to recognize the issues so that we don't have findings. And again, that started October the 1st. And then HOPMA, Housing Opportunities Through Modernization Act. They did the final rule. It became effective January 1st, 2024. But in that final rule, it gave you time to get certain things in place. So everything has to be in place by January 1st, 2025. There will be some policies coming to the board, because we're gonna have to change the tenant selection plans. We're gonna have to change the administrative plan for Section 8. Depending on if we got house rules, leases, all these types of things, they're gonna have to change, because it's now a lot of new rules for how foster adults and children's income is calculated, occupancy requirements, how many assets a person can have.
Wow.
Yeah, how to even calculate their income. Income that was excluded before is no longer excluded, and vice versa. The reexamination requirements, and then the mandatory deduction changes. So they're changing the entire program.
Well, they make it easy for you guys.
Oh, yeah, everybody's struggling with it. That's why we've been going to the trainings. But again, I do like and appreciate the changes that they're trying to make. It's better for the tenants. The thing is that the staff is gonna have to let go of their habits. You know, they just used to doing stuff a certain way. And so with the training and just starting to do it before the January date actually comes into play, we hope to be successful with that. But this is, again, it's a HUD initiative. You do not have a choice. You have to have it ready and effective by January 1st, 2025. And Yardi has already been making changes. So all the software companies are already making changes. So the software capture the information different. We just got to get the staff ready. This is a lot. It's like a overhaul of these programs. But I think it's needed, you know, just being honest. I think it's needed. And the deadlines might seem aggressive, but really they not. They started talking about this like 3 years ago. the thing of it is, HUD is just slow to put that final deadline, and so when they did now, you're saying, oh, I only got 7 to 8 months, but they really been talking about it for the last 3 years. So this is what we working on here every day to try to get this done. And so I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention, because again, we're gonna have some policies that'll be coming up that will incorporate these changes, and it'll be highlighted to show you what's changing. But it's all HOPMA related, and it'll be identified as such.
So the HOPMA changes, they're being made in such a way that people are gonna be able to have greater assets, or it's not
Yeah.
like we're gonna see a bunch of people all of a sudden
no,
become
no.
ineligible for the housing.
More people gonna be eligible, because right now you can have $5,000 in assets, under HOPMA, you can have 50. The senior citizen.
So you have a car in California.
Yeah, okay. Like the mandatory deductions, you were getting $480 for dependents, a senior will automatically get $400, they've increased all of that. So in actuality, the tenant should pay less rent and be able to have more assets, but we should get more subsidy to be able to offset. So we just have to make sure we make the changes, and like, they're already gonna be in the software, Yardy's already doing that. And I'm gonna make sure that they take off the override. So that way, if a staff person does it the way they have done it in the past, they can't override it. Because then we'll have a lot of audit issues. So that'll kind of bring to their attention how to learn how to do it. Jonathan, you want to ask me something?
I wanted to just mention that the HIP and HOTMA changes, they're going toe to toe, and we did a training with Yardy. Yardy is like effective August 1st, I believe it is. Anytime you create a 5.8, it's gonna be the new 5.8, so you won't even be able to create a 5.8 with the old way of doing it.
Yeah, they having it all in there, so it'll meet all the HUD deadlines. The Housing Authority overarching deadline for everything is January 1st, 2025. But in the interim, the 5.8s in the HIP is August 1st to start. But when I was talking about the override, some things, like you can override payment standards, you can override deductions, those features would not be accessible to staff. So if they do key in something inadvertently or something happen, if the system will stop them before it goes any further.
How are these changes transparent or not to the people who are accessing housing? Like, what does it look like for the?
It'll be part of the onboarding, and like when you have the briefings, you can tell them about it. You know, it's gonna really be up to us, HUD putting out information too, but really it's the Housing Authority responsibility to kind of let them know when they do the application. But a lot, aside from the assets in the interim re-exams, which is also getting changed, a lot of this stuff, the average participant doesn't know that they getting this credit now. They just know what the bottom line ends up being. So they won't really be aware, but they'll know about the, well, they'll get told about all of it, but the main thing they'll look at is how they gonna do interims moving forward, probably, and the assets.
I can imagine around the assets, some need for education, community education, because I'm sure there's a word mouth towards mouth of, oh no, you're not gonna qualify because you own that car, or you gotta hide this savings account or whatever it is, like letting people know that, you know, maybe you didn't qualify before, it's time to take a look at us again, you might qualify now.
Well, HUD made a hot fact sheet, and so what we could do as part of our outreach is like put that on the website and have it posted up in the building. And then when we have our events, kind of give it out, because on the fact sheet, it tell you, you can have this much, and it used to be this much, you know? And so that way we can kind of put that out to the public as well. Because a lot of the housing does go by word of mouth. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about when you tell other people why they can and can't qualify.
Yeah.
So having the fact sheets, having it posted, and then just when we do the waiting list, kind of talking about it a little more, I think it'll help. Because that's a big jump to go from 5,000 to 50,000. And not have to worry about it counting against you. And so those are just, you know, just want to, again, let you know part of the changes that we're going through here. Let's see. HUD will come visit us again. They love us so much. They're gonna come either in June or July to do a compliance monitoring review for the Section 8 program. There'll be about 5 of them, and they'll pick random files and interview staff. They haven't set the date yet, but it's either gonna be June 24th through the 28th or July 10th through the 12th. But at least they gave us notice that it's gonna be one of those dates, so we just gotta start preparing for that. Let's see, PDM. I talk about this a little bit more when we get to the resolution, but our application was approved with the Department of Health and Human Services under one condition, and again, I'll just talk about that a little more when we get into the board resolution. And let's see. Finance, we're working on completing the 23 audit in the budget, so next month we'll do the budget. We'll have it prepared in time to send it out, so you have time to look at it, have a little meeting beforehand for questions, and then it'll be on the agenda for next month, for the new fiscal year. We, if you go down to development, we are working on what's called the Mark Up to Market program. It's a program for RAD properties where you get an opportunity to adjust the HAP rents. We did a rent study, and so now we're looking at the application to make sure that the properties qualify. If they do, we're gonna complete it and send it in, and hopefully we'll get to make some changes on the rents that go along with the RAD properties. But you only get to do it one time, so we gotta make sure that we had our rent study and ask for something that we can build on every year as opposed to the rents that they are now. And if the rents do increase, the subsidy will increase. This will not dramatically affect any tenants or anything like that. It'll just make the property more financially sound. And let's see, the other stuff is resolutions. We'll get to that. The FSS grant, we just got the new grant. We got $184,837. That's for this year. It ends December 31st, 2024. We will apply for another one. We have 2 coordinators right now. Hopefully we can get more people in the program and get an increase for next year. And let's see, I did receive another letter from Michi about the interfund and the separation issues. I am crafting a response, and I will bring that to the board's attention to let you know where we're at. But I did want to tell you that we received a letter. And let's see. Just doing, on the miscellaneous, went to the Narrow Conference, learned a lot about HACM, networked, saw some of the new things that's coming down the pipe, and then just trying to partner with more agencies. So I'm reaching out to more housing authority, EDs in California, more development agencies, some of the non-partners and the nonprofit partners in the community, just trying to expand our network here at HECM. And so that's really it for my report, unless anybody have any questions. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, if there's no questions, we're gonna move on to item 7, which is new business. And we're gonna start with resolution 310.
Okay, HECM currently owns land in Greenfield and at a site that we refer to as parcel B. I would like approval to start looking at those sites for development of low-income housing under HDC, and to be able to negotiate, get pre-development phases information, and I'm trying to make sure this one had a problem. Execute documents as it relates to HECM and HDC for the properties to do the pre-development phase work.
Yeah, it's a long
Yeah,
resolution, and so I was just trying to skim it for essentially what we're trying to do is
I put it down to land use for pre-development, Greenfield and parcel B,
yeah,
basically.
we're not trying to sign off on final
Mhm.
development approval. We're trying to allow you to do pre-development work. And
And do it under HDC.
And then it'll be brought back.
The finals are being brought back, but we need permission, because HDC doesn't own this land, so we need permission to work through pre-development and look at what we could do and how we want to do it.
Yeah.
HECM has to approve that. as the owner.
So what do we need to do here, in terms of, do we need to mark up this resolution at all, or do we feel like, how does this work here? If we had our general counsel here, would it?
Well, I did reach out to the attorneys because I wanted to make sure, because how they were, that's why we had a little mix up on the resolutions. And because we doing pre-development and we doing under HDC, but we not finalizing anything, there may be some documents that could come up that I would need to be able to approve as the executive director of HACM for HDC to do the pre-development. But not the development, just the pre-development items to bring that back to the board. And so that's why the HELCOM resolution is a little different from the one that we had on HDC side.
Yeah.
But it doesn't allow for any development to take place or enter into any like joint agreements or anything like that. It's just really to be able to execute documents that HDC might need to do things on that property.
Yeah, I mean, is there a way is one way to just have clarity on this, to just insert something, like for the avoidance of doubt, this does not include.
If
X,
you
Y, and
want
Z.
to.
So what are the things that you'd add?
Cause it's just, let's see, how can we just say, it? Or maybe we just shorten the whole thing up and just say authorizing the authorization of land use of Greenfield Lot and Parcel B for pre-development activities under HDC. That way you kind of take out all the extra stuff, but you still got everything in there. And so that means there's no development, no executing development documents or, getting loans, whatever.
Yes, I guess that's the question that I have. So a lot of the actual text of the resolution is related to applying for funding for tax credits or,
Well-
interim funds to assist in the applications and.
We can change the resolution. When we first did it,
Mhm.
the original concept was, for this meeting was to have the development agreement finalized. But it wasn't, and so that kind of changed all the wording of the resolutions and stuff like that, so that's why they like that, cause we thought we was gonna have it finalized, but we didn't.
So this is almost like a preview of a resolution.
That's
that
what
we
it gonna
may
look like
see
when we
get to
come
that point.
back, yeah,
But at this point, you just need authorization for
for the
from
land use.
HACM
Mhm.
to let HDC do pre-development activities with its.
With these
its
two
partners.
parcels. Yeah, and we can change the resolution to match, and then when we do get the development agreement finalized, well, not final, we'll finalize for approval. That's when this resolution will come back as it is now, because it entail all the steps that we need to do to move forward. We just got a little ahead of ourselves, we didn't get finished with the agreement, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's the first part of the resolution, like the bold statement, the first whereas. So resolution of the Board of Commissioners authorizing development of low-income housing, also known as parcel B and Greenfield lot projects currently in pre-development phase.
I don't know, but
It's not,
even the first paragraph authorizing the development of low-income housing. Like,
Well,
we're
it
not
says that wait, are you looking at the bold
You're looking at the
typeface or
bold
the
caps.
whereas? Bold caps.
authorizing the development of
Well, that's why I think we just need to
develop and
change it
operate
to
the
say,
projects. I don't think that's accurate.
well, no, I think we need to just change to say authorizing the land use. The use of land known as Greenfield Lot and Parcel B for pre-development activities under HDC. And then that's
Get rid
just,
of-
that's just kind of it, cause you're just saying that the land can be used for pre-development
Mhm.
activity, and then HDC can do it. And then we can skip all this other stuff until we come back with a final plan. As far as the wording.
Well, I mean, your resolution still needs to have whereases.
Oh, no,
Right.
we'll make it match. The actual resolution, we'll change it to match the new phrasing of the caption for the resolution that however the motion is made. So for instance, the first whereas,
Would stay.
uh,
We want to it's our desire to construct low-income housing,
yeah,
right? And then it's really
Yeah,
just,
so is the second one on down, it'll probably just be three.
I guess my question is, do we need, this is a question for both of you, and I hear you've done a lot of this. You've done
Yeah.
A lot of this. Do we need the actual text to vote on this?
Do we even need, yeah,
If you, well, we don't have to do the resolution, if you wanna just make a motion to
just
go
make a
forward.
motion
Yeah.
and move forward,
Mhm.
because really, I
About the
was wondering why even do the resolution, because it's not final.
Okay, so we
So
do
I-
a motion to go forward and then, table the resolution to later date, and then that will be it.
So basically authorizing you to engage in pre-development activities
Mhm.
under HDC on the greenfield lot.
Yeah, just do a motion and then table the
So-
resolution.
Yeah, I make a
Just that you
motion
say it.
to authorize pre-development activities under HDC on the greenfield lot personally.
Second,
Okay, roll call
yeah,
please.
yeah, because I think it was the whole resolution part.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause we have Chair Hans Buder,
Yes,
Vice Chair Kathleen Bellasaro.
Yes.
Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
you're muted, Francine.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Commissioner Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay. And now table 3108.
okay, we're gonna move on to item 7B, resolution 310.
You gotta make a motion to table 3108.
Sorry, my fault. Yeah, I make a motion to table resolution 3108.
You're second.
It's been moved by myself and seconded by Commissioner Ballesteros. Roll call, please.
Chair Hans Buder,
Yes.
Kathleen Bellasaro,
Yes.
Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Francine Goodwin,
Yes,
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that would be,
Thank you for keeping me on track there.
yeah, and sorry about that, we just thought we was gonna be a little more.
No, it's good. Okay. It's actually a great resolution. That's the sad part about it.
You gave it, let's take about.
So, okay, we're gonna move on to item 7B, which is resolution 310.
Okay, 3109, we have been using Fox Rothschild, which is a attorney, well, they are a group of lawyers that are stationed out of Pittsburgh, but they have a lot of offices in California and throughout the United States. So we've been using them on several projects. We did not have them under RFP, so I contacted McKinsey Housing Authority in Texas, who does. They have authorized us to piggyback off of their contract so that we can meet all the procurement rules and regulations that we need to. We would have to sign 2 agreements. One, the intergovernmental cooperation agreement, that's between us and McKinley, saying that we can use their procurement process for Fox Rothschild, and then a legal services agreement with Fox Rothschild to perform services. The services agreement is for 1 year, but we can terminate it whenever we want to. It'll commence on May 1st and end December 31st, but we can terminate it at any time we wish. We have 3 1-year options that we can extend it through December 31st, 2027, if we so choose. The hourly rates depend on what we're doing and at what level the attorney is that's performing them, so they go from $220 to $535. And let's see, I strongly recommend that we go into these agreements so that we can use this attorney, so that our procurement, we won't have any findings for our continued use of them. And then once we complete the projects we're working on, then if we so desire, we can terminate the contract with them with no penalty.
Questions from commissioners?
So has this been for general legal services or
It's
for,
been a combination, general development, just a little bit of everything, because we didn't have,
we don't have like agency counsel?
yeah, so they kind of been helping out in all areas. And the things that they've been helping out with, most all the things, we either concluded a lot of them, and they've been giving us some really good advice on how to move forward.
Okay, I'm not hearing any comments. So I guess we will care to make a motion on this resolution.
Move to approve resolution 3109. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Roscoe and seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Roll call, please.
Hans Boda,
Yes.
Kathleen Bellis,
Yes.
Kevin Healy,
yes,
Francine Goodwin,
Yes,
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to item 7C, resolution 3110.
Okay, so, let's see, this Rippling River. Rippling River Affordable Housing Limited Partnership has a loan that is coming due this June, actually. The loan is for, here we go, $2,255,528.91. We don't have sufficient cash flow to pay that loan out, but we have worked with the bank and they will give us a 1-year extension on this loan while we decide how we want to move forward with the property. I think that's the best option instead of refinancing at this point, because our interest rate right now is a 5.37.
Yeah.
If we refinance, we probably gonna get a higher rate, and it's kind of a moot point if we don't do any type of rehab or construction at the property. So the bank is really working with us on that one. In searching into this one, we found out that Benito FLC also has a loan for $1,114,692 that's coming up in August. So they're pretty much in the same situation. They do not have the monies to pay that loan out at this point. But the bank said that if HACM approves these 1-year extensions, they will extend both loans for 1 year, which will give us time to decide how to move forward with actually paying them off. Rippling River, we know that we're looking at developments and things of that nature. Benito FLC is gonna be a little different, so we really need the time on that one to figure out what's the next step. I don't think, again, we should refinance either one at this point. It's better for us to just take the extension with the terms as is. We will have to pay a fee, it's 1%, so for Rippling River, it'll be about $23,000, and for Benito, it'll be $12,000.
Questions? Commissioners? My other question was like on Rippling River, say we were gonna do, I know the plans to do redevelopment, that's gonna take us longer than a year to effectuate. And so what happens a year from now? Like, what are our options?
Well, we still can refinance, we can come back and do that. And depending on how much funding we may be able to get from the county, from the Housing Trust Fund, and the way that we approach it, it may be different. Yeah, because I already reached out to him, about it. So I think the 1-year extension, it really just gives us enough time to plan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the way that some of the reporting is done, these things were not brought to our attention. John Stewart is the one that manages these properties. And so there was no plan in place for paying these out. When I did find out about them, it was this year.
Yeah.
So it just is not enough time to do anything. So the extension will give us time to kind of plan the next step.
Does the extension and change the end date, or are we looking at it would be June 2025 and August 2025?
June 2025 and August
So
2025.
a little
Yeah, a
more than a
little
year.
Yeah, a little cushion.
And they keep advertising, still neighborhood, yes. Okay. Okay, would anyone care to make a motion on?
so moved,
And I second.
Okay, it has been moved by Commissioner Healy and seconded by Commissioner Ballesteros.
Can I clarify the motion? Is it for resolution
3110
3110 and 3112, or just
With 3111.
Just 11?
Together?
You wanna take a
motion,
together, Kevin?
I'd like to aggregate both of the motions if that's appropriate.
Yes.
And I second.
Great.
All
Roll
right.
call, please.
Hans Boda,
Yes.
Kathleen Bellis,
Yes.
Kevin Healy,
Yes,
Francine Goodwin,
yes,
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on to resolution 3112.
All right, we did a RFP for attorney services. And the interview committee came back with recommendations. Let me get to my page here, though. So, with this RFP 2023 #1 for general counsel legal services, we would like to award Johnson Fantel Kennifer LLP to provide landlord tenant services, evictions, things like that. The hourly rate will be $140 to $225. And then Burt Williams and Sorenson LLP will do general counsel, development, labor and employment. And so the hourly rates for the general counsel is $320 to $425. Development is $200 to $425, and labor and employment is $320 to $385. We had a very long process in finding attorneys. We did a lot of due diligence in vetting them. So I'm really confident in the people that we have selected. I would highly recommend that we move forward with the motion to approve them and send out the award notifications.
Questions, from commissioners?
Who was on the interview committee? Or was there a committee?
It was a committee. So anytime we have an RFP, when they come in, a committee gets together. I'm never on the committee. They do a scoring matrix and then they score all the applications. And then they bring that to me and then me and Gabby look at it to see if we go along with their recommendations, make sure they didn't, have any bias, things like that, and then bring that recommendation forward to the board.
How does this interact with the contract that we just?
It works, the piggyback is for somebody we currently using,
Mhm.
who we didn't procure we procured them under our procurement policy, but we didn't do it under the RFP.
Mhm.
And that's a contract we can terminate at any time on the existing projects. So it works in conjunction with this.
But it's on legacy projects specifically.
Mhm. So we can still do, just because Burt Williams and Sorenson is doing general counsel, development and employment, we're not exclusively working with them.
Mhm.
We can work with another attorney if we need to, or sometimes on some deals, you do 2 attorneys, just to get feedback on both of them as to how they read the documents,
Mhm.
so it won't be any type of issue.
Okay.
I have a question. If I'm familiar with one of the companies, because I used to pay them when I was working, is that
Oh, no, long
then I'm
as-
okay?
Yeah, you're okay, long as you have a well, you're working there, nothing like that.
Okay. Just thought I asked.
No, that's a good question, because sometimes people get tied up on how you are and are not having a conflict, but no,
Okay, all right, thank you.
And maybe I missed it in the resolution, but what is the term of the contract?
This one, it should be 3 years with the 1-year option. Anytime we do a contract through RFP, it's gonna be for 3 years. Let's see. And it's not on the letter. Mike, you was on the committee. No, James, you were on the committee one. Isn't it I wanna say it's 3 years. Most RFPs for HUD, we kinda have a template.
Mhm.
And so normally it's 3 year with either a 1-year extension or 2 1-year extension, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And do our resolutions typically include like a not to exceed amount, or we just kind of, here's our hourly rate, when we
No,
expect
no.
it to be, looks like over $100,000 based on.
No, we don't have a not to exceed. The reasons, the procurement policy is where we have a not to exceed.
Mhm.
So as the executive director, I can go up to 100. But for things that I know gonna go over 100 and don't know where they're gonna end, we have to have the board approval. So that's where that comes in. Cause over 3 years, it just depends what type of activity we have here at the agency, how much this bill is gonna be. It might not even ever reach $100,000, but just as precautionary.
And what's our ability to get out of it if we don't like the quality of the
Oh, we
service?
terminate these at any time, we just do like a 30. Mhm.
So I guess for purposes of the resolution, I would feel more comfortable if it were approved with a note that, with the initial term as included in the RFP or something like that, so we know that it's like a 3-year, because it's not. in
Oh,
the
talking about
resolution.
well, the resolution should refer to the RFP.
The legal RFP was advertised.
Yeah, so whatever the RFP said is covered in the resolution. Otherwise, I don't have it right in front of me, but it should say 3 years.
In the RFP.
Mhm. Cause again, it's a little template that everybody kind of use for HUD.
Mhm.
And so it's normally 3 years, and then you can have 1 or 2 or 3 year extension. You can't go past that without having to do another one because you'll violate HUD's procurement policies.
Yes. And I guess I'm saying, like.
Yeah, you would like to.
I like it,
know.
yeah, like, I would like to see it in there, or at least some reference, like,
Do you have?
the legal
we can
do
RFP,
a-
which included.
We can we can add the terms in there after, when the motion is done, it can be to amend the resolution to state their terms. And then we can just add it in there as a whereas.
Okay.
Any other questions on this one? You needed general counsel for a while now, so this is gonna be good, this is gonna be good. Yeah, and I like the idea that it's differentiated, that there's a lower cost provider for the basic blocking and tackling landlord tenant issue stuff. Evictions, et cetera. We don't need to pay top dollar for that, so good job. Yeah, nice work.
Yes.
Do you wanna make the motion?
So I would move to approve resolution 3112, to include an amendment noting the term, as outlined in the legal RFP.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Anderson, seconded by Commissioner Roscoe. Roll call, please.
Hans Buder,
Yes.
Kathleen Phillip-Stars.
Yes.
Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Francine Goodwin. Ms. Francine,
I'm sorry, yes.
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on to resolution 3113 relating to Pueblo Del Mar.
The last one, so PDM, we have an MOU with Monterey County to provide services for the bridge funding housing grant at PDM. And doing this, we had to change the application that we currently have on file with Health and Human Services because they're the ones that gave the property to HACM to have as a sober living facility to help the homeless and agricultural workers. We completed the file, we sent it in, we had to make a couple of adjustments. But as of the last adjustment that was made on April the 5th, the application has been conditionally awarded. The only condition for them to award the new application is for us to execute a deed amendment that extends the restrictions for an additional 2 years because of non-compliance related to the property. The property has not met the occupancy guidelines that it was supposed to adhere to. And with doing that, Health and Human Services could, 1, extend the deed restriction, or 2, take the property back. So they've decided to keep the property in HECM's portfolio if we do the 2-year extension. Our original date to come out was June 20, 2026. So now it'll be June 20, 2028. I really think this is a good deal. This is actually better than what we were expecting to get from them based on the past performance of the property and some of the things that's going on now. The 2 years give us enough time to do the rehab work without being penalized at the property and start the bridge funding grant program. Also, if at any point in time we want to do something else at the property, we can send in another application or request to change the terms or to just try to buy out the affordability remaining life. So I don't really see any downsides to this because it's actually a little better than the situation we were in when it started. And it's just additional 2 years. And we are already in a 5-year program. So I think Bridge Housing actually supposed to end like 2028 or 29. So it'll be right around in this time. And at that point, there are no more restrictions on the property and HECM can do whatever they choose with it.
Questions on this resolution? I think it's still a great deal.
Mhm.
Would anyone care to make a motion on the resolution?
I'll make a motion. for the
Second.
3113. He's faster than I am.
Look on the draw tonight. It's been, there's been a motion by Commissioner Ballesteros, seconded by Commissioner Healy. Roll call, please.
Hans Buda,
Yes.
Kathleen Bellastaro.
Yes.
Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Francine Goodwin,
Yes,
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are gonna move on to item 8, which is information items, the departmental reports, as well as a property spotlight. So we're gonna start with the human resources report, and just as a reminder to everyone, in contrast to the way that we've historically done this, we are going to be we're not gonna be having the director do an extended report summarizing their written report. Instead, we're gonna read and digest the reports. If Salika has anything to add, she'll add it or highlight it, and then we will have an opportunity to ask questions.
So for the human resource report, great report, James. I really don't have anything to add other than maybe want to mention about the paper performance that's coming up. That was a big issue with our union negotiations.
Yeah, that's, so I did reach out to the union about that and I'm still waiting for a response. The rep that was supposed to return my email, I was out for medical leave, so she just returned. So I'm waiting for her the response as far as setting that time for it. But we have the proposals done, we're actually all set to go, so now we're just passing on to me.
Any questions on the human resources report?
I just wanted to make a comment. I just wanted to say that I noted that you're adding additional training to the employees. And I
Yes.
think that that's important. So that way that when they're performing and they're working, they have some confidence to add to the performance. So thank you.
And then I just have a comment, I'm sure we all saw it and kind of, I don't know, my eyes got really big number of vacant director positions. And just, I mean, I know it's a known, but at the same time, I think it's worth noting to the board that
Yep.
you've got some really important positions to fill.
Yeah, we have been looking and we've been getting people putting in applications, but they haven't had any HUD experience. So for certain positions, I'm trying to get individuals that have experience with HUD. Because if not, we can bring in some good candidates, but we'll have to train them as to the world of HUD and affordable housing and HDC. And so that's okay to do maybe for one person, but you don't wanna have to do that for all of the leadership. So we've been extensively looking, and as a matter of fact, today, James and I talked about reluctantly maybe engaging somebody to help with one of the positions.
Yeah.
To try to expedite.
Search firm.
To get it done, because we've been getting good candidates, we've been getting a lot of strong candidates, but they just don't have any experience at a housing authority. And it's different working at a housing authority. HUD has a lot of rules, a lot of overlap. And you have to follow GASB and GAP, so the more fluent they are in HUD language, especially HCB, they probably could get away with the other things, but we have robust Section 8 program that needs attention, so they really need to know how Section 8 works in HUD world, so.
And that it's really clear in your search app or materials that this is a requirement of the position, or is it?
Well, you
can't make it a
You
requirement.
can't make it mandatory, but you can say it's desired.
Uh,
So we mentioned it, and most of the interviewers, they make a comment about how they can learn quick, stuff like that. And like I said, there's been some good people, but when you have so many positions empty, I'm not trying to be like a one-all, do-all, so I need somebody else to bounce off of too. So especially the finance position, if we can get somebody with HUD experience, But if not, we may end up having to train somebody, because it has been kind of hard to get, especially financial, professionals in the development, the, director too, because they go to the profit world, where they just make so much more money.
And then just to add to though, because of the history of this agency itself, we're trying to eliminate the upper revolving door of
Yeah.
top leadership
Yep.
and have more stability
Yeah,
within
that's
the
a great
team.
idea.
Because morale has decreased, and when they see that top leader continue to go in and out, different management style, different leadership, so we're trying to speak as one.
Yeah,
So one of the first actions that we took when I joined the board was like an increase to the amount could be offered for housing programs director. Is that a conversation you're having in these areas as well? Or is that something that we might be forecasting to
if
talk about?
we move forward with somebody, a searching partner or recruitment firm, that's definitely a conversation that we'll have to have. But because of the number of vacancies and the liquidity of the agency, that's something that I will definitely have to talk to the board about first to get certain approvals, because there are some really high caliber client, potential people that we could get, but the salary that they would demand is a little out of our scope, for all these positions.
Didn't we just come into some money?
Cause you wanna spend all. Anyway, I do think it's a conversation worth having, and that is a point for the newly discovered funds. And we may have to do that. We just got some new applications, and I don't know, we're gonna kind of see, but we probably have to get a recruiter to help. Because they don't have any HUD experience, and it's okay to train people. And some people learn really quick, and sometimes it's better to train a person than them coming in with experience. But what I've really been trying to do, we got so many positions, we've been interviewing all at one time. So let's say I get a property manager person who doesn't have HUD experience, and get a developer who they know development but no HUD experience, and then a finance person knows, that's a good group we can go with. Because then, okay, development, you don't know HUD, but that's okay. Finance person know HUD, so guess what? I don't have to spend as much time with them. I can kind of help the property manager. So we've been doing it like that to try to see how all of these candidates kind of work together. But so far, it really haven't been anybody who had that level of experience that we really want. But our agency is complex. This is considered a large housing authority. Because of the number of units in its totality. And we have 17 LPs, it's a lot going on here, not as much as like Houston or some of those places, but it's enough where a person needs to know certain things to really be an asset. So.
Well, with the strategic planning, this is one of the things we talked about like the succession planning and I'm not allowed to talk about you getting hit by a bus anymore.
I know, he kills me all the time.
Win the lottery, that's great, that's
Thank
good.
you.
Win the lottery. But I think that's an important consideration, and some of these have been vacant for a bit, and I think you're right. I think that going out and getting a search firm and or upping the compensation, I think the market's telling us something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that'll help. Cause again, sometimes it's kind of nice to grow your own person.
Yeah.
Because you can get a person that come in and they think they know everything because where they worked at before. And really everything that happens here is based on the community here. So it's a little different. The stuff you did in, Texas or Virginia or Washington, it's not gonna work here. And no, Jonathan, I'm not talking about you, I said Texas, that was the first one I'm talking about.
Or New Orleans.
Cause like, you take a person like Mike came in. Alabama. Roll Tide, but Mike came in, he didn't have any HUD experience, but Mike has learned a lot and he's helped out a lot. He's moved some things around and he's a learner.
Yeah.
But see, you don't know that when you interview the person, so I mean, I hate to say it, but if they come in and they don't meet the criteria, they got to go, because we kind of moving. And so that's another reason we're trying to be really selective. But a lot of these positions, not the executive position, but some of the others, they already do have candidates, they already have appointments set up. So it will be less on the next meeting.
Yeah, it's a challenge though because of that, but it's.
And then we have agriculture. A lot of people don't know anything about the agriculture too. So,
That was a good question. And any other questions on the HR report?
No.
Okay, let's move on to the finance report.
nothing on the finance report except for that we, moving forward with the, budget for next month. But Mike, if you would like to give your commentary, just to kind of let them know where we are.
Oh, on the budget?
But it's month, like with the bottom lines, where the money is.
Yeah, the month of February was kind of continued the same trend. We got a real inflow of HAP money. So the good news continues. Can't spend it fast enough. So when you look at the year to date for HACM, we're actually, compared to a budget, we're up $3 million. So quite a flip from last year when I was hired. So the folks, I think, Sulika's leadership, now Jonathan being on board, we're going in the right direction. And then with HDC, it's a matter of timing when we get these new projects that you're authorizing activity on, that'll begin to create money. But you kind of have to get the projects going and be able to build them. We're also going to close these audits out. So when that audit closes for 23, I think we're going to be able to get some waterfall money. So that'll make us a little bit more liquid in the HDC side. So from a financial perspective, I feel like the agency's improving, and the fact that we were able to find some hidden money, right? So that it really isn't reserved, so we can make it available for general use. That's huge. The sheet here that I included, it's the same kind of breakdown by property, but I took your advice and kind of tried to split it up so that you can see it by different layers. And then I added a page here that actually just shows the change in cash at these same locations. So for this one snapshot in time for the month of February, we actually had a $400,000 increase in cash for these particular facilities. So if we continue to do that tracking each month, we can see by facility how our cash balance is moving and give us a trend. So that's about.
And this is like, when it says February year to date, that's fiscal year, February year to date.
So we've got 8 months under our belt right now.
Yeah.
And as far as the budget itself, we're in a good position because we've had participation from different directors who in the past, there's been a tendency to sort of have it be siloed in finance. So we've had a lot of input, and I was able this year to go down to literally every department, and we have a lot of departments. So like what would happen is we would budget at a certain level, but below that level, there might be 10 departments. And we were only looking and budgeting at one department for simplicity, right? But I had never gone down myself and dug into all 10 of them and found out what was hiding in there. And so this year, the budget will just, because of my knowledge, I'll feel much more like it's a cohesive answer, and we won't be winging numbers like we have had to do in the past. And Jonathan helped us on the, particularly on the Section 8 revenue side. That's a bit of a, there's math involved in it, as well as a gut feeling as to where we're headed as an agency. And we used the 2-year tool and we're able to confirm our numbers. And I just think it'll be a good, solid package.
Questions on the finance report? I think my only comment is just, I keep highlighting that net bottom line, like before depreciation column, where if you look at, I don't know how many properties it is, but there might be, how many properties is it? Is it up to like 20 something? Something along those lines. It looks, just eyeballing it, looks like in the mid-20s in terms of number of properties, and if I count the number that are in the black, it's, I don't know, 7 of them or something like
It's
that.
alarming.
Yeah, so that's, you know, I think your plan's really gonna go through and have a business plan for each one. It makes a lot of sense, so. Okay, so
Just a comment, I think like with Socorro and the folks that are actually running those facilities currently with, you know, not even with the director in place, I just think that their attitude towards trying to write these various properties is all in the right place. I don't think there's a tendency to want to not find out. They really do want to find out. And the more that they can work with, so they get to burrow down and, you know, we're going in the right direction in
Yeah.
terms of our investigation.
and some of it can't be dealt with without a recapitalization, you know, rejiggering of the finances and something, so. Okay, we're gonna move on to the property management report. Okay.
Just the emergency work orders, tell them what you found out about that, so.
So in reviewing the emergency work orders, it was determined that a lot of the work orders that were categorized as urgent or emergency were actually routine work orders. So we're actually working with staff to make sure that they're categorizing the work orders appropriately. And we also noted that several of the urgent and emergency work orders had been immediately completed. However, maintenance staff, when they closed, if the work order was not closed immediately, it was dated as completed the day they closed it in the Yardi system. So we're also working on that process as well.
Any question? That was actually my one comment on this report was, if you actually look at the number of maximum days and compare it to like what we've seen in the past, it had dropped substantially, and my only comment was, you know, obviously this is driven off of like, when does somebody click a button? So there can be like data anomalies, right? Both pro and con, and so, you know, potentially there's some data anomalies that get cleared up, potentially like just some of these work orders got addressed. You know, the thing that we definitely don't want to see, the concern you have about focusing on the data too much in these things is that, you know, you don't want to make sure it's never massaged. So hopefully it's a combination of data stuff and just, you know, magically we went out and fixed all of these work orders, but you know, the data integrity I think is important, so.
No, it's data and it's also the staff. They were miscategorizing the work orders. And then some of those emergency work orders truly were open that long and they had not been completed. So it was a combination of stuff, but when they went back and just like the ones that was routine, that should have been routine, or the ones that they could see the work was completed, cause you can have a completion time, but it was never completed out. That's what kind of shifted some of the data, but it is still a big problem.
So within the past month, you guys went out, all of these that were 180 days, 300 days, 200 days, like you guys dealt with all of those.
Yeah, we followed up with maintenance and actually put the work orders to see if the work was done. And then we also noted that there were some work orders that had been completed that were emergency and urgent, but they weren't closed out because they had to do some follow-up work. So we made it a point to make sure they need to complete that work order, and if there's a follow-up work order that needed to be done, they need to create another work order and it'll be a routine. So it won't be categorized as emergency and urgent. And then we're also doing follow-up in our department as far as some quality control, going out there, talking to the residents, making sure that the work is actually done. So it's a lot of follow-up. I mean, and it's a process. It's slowly but surely getting better. But you know, we just have to educate staff on it.
And to your point, Socorro, next month y'all need to do a year to date. They did for the month of March.
Yes.
So that kind of skews it. That's why some of
Oh,
them.
is that what's going on?
Yeah, so yeah, make sure y'all do a year to date.
It just seemed not believable. But yeah, so maybe that's why.
That's what it is. They went in March and drilled into it because of the comments. But if you do the year to date, you'll still see some of that same stuff that you've seen before.
Okay. If there's no other questions, we're gonna move on
I
to,
have a quick question,
yes. Yes,
as a resident, what is, they keep changing the protocol as to how we're supposed to get things fixed, like in our units. What is the current protocol that are we supposed to go to the manager and let her know, or do we directly contact maintenance?
Okay, so Ms. Francine, to your point, I think I know what happened. The managers were sending everybody straight to maintenance. And I changed the protocol, because that's not the way it's supposed to go. They're supposed to go to the property manager, and then the manager will initiate the maintenance. So the way they were doing it, it was leaving too much room for your work not to be done, or additional work to be done, or not to be captured. The maintenance person is not the first point of contact. It's supposed to be the manager at the property.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
We're gonna move on to the development report.
No comments from development.
Any questions on the development report? Good. The housing programs report.
Okay, for the housing programs report, the only, I guess, comment, Jonathan, if you'd like to kind of let us know, I think you got a calendar of some things that you're gonna be doing to get utilization up. If you could just kind of touch on that a little bit, that's it for me.
We have not secured the exact dates because of our landlord symposium, but starting Wednesday, we will look at 3 dates. We're gonna call it our summer voucher series. 1 month in June, 1 month in July, 1 month in August, where we will be doing mass briefings and eligibility determinations. So we can go from ticking along at 3903, 3954, 3983 to getting into 4500, you know, the
Yeah.
reason she brought me here.
Because, just looking at the report. And this is why I like the year to date chart for the total numbers. The VMS, all that's very detailed, but you gotta know how to read it. But if you don't know how to read that, you can look at this and see exactly what we had every month. And so for a 3-month span, they just haven't increased enough, but we've already talked about that. That's why I wanted them to know you got a plan for how you're gonna move forward.
Yes.
To kind of accelerate that, but still within all the HUD rules and regulations, and opening up a new waiting list as well.
Can I talk about the landlord symposium today?
Don't you have another one tomorrow?
I do.
See you in May. Okay, anybody got something about the report?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Now you're gonna get me in trouble.
Look, go ahead, go.
No, today was the first. Today was the first of 2 landlord symposiums. I was excited, because we had a lot of participation from landlords. We had it at, MPC. We had a few dignitaries, Ms. Ruth Askew was there. And so it was interesting, and I can't wait to report on it at the appropriate time.
That's awesome. Yeah, just to circle back, like I think a lot of what we've seen here is like data, again, that what we're measuring starts to matter, like we have this actual metric for, housing programs on the voucher side, which I think focuses our mind. I think the work orders focuses our mind. We're obviously having a board reports committee, which is great here. I think it's helpful.
Can I make one comment? So Lika authorized me to add a feature to our current Smart Sheets tool. I've been talking about this for a while. We're gonna be putting her in a position very quickly here, and I'm actually gonna be reviewing it with her on Wednesday, but just imagine with all of these properties and all these LPs, this is a complicated place. And I became aware of the tool Smart Sheets, and basically it's kind of like Excel on steroids. And what we're doing is, you know, we've got 10 different functional areas. Each one will be able to put in basically like a Gantt chart, their task, when they're gonna start, when they're gonna be done, estimation of completion, you know, important information. And then they fill this out, and then everybody fills their own out, and then Zulika will be able to, it's already functioning. There's a little, you just click on her roll up, and she gets a list like this. So we could literally sit in here, and she could, if she chose, share with you her work list. And if you want to go deeper, you can go deeper and have more granularity about every task. But just the idea, I mean, we literally have 50, 100 tasks that probably need to be tracked. And this will give us the ability, each director keeping their task list up to date and fresh. Zulika doesn't have to chase data, which is one of the biggest problems that I've always found in management is I'm going around asking my 10 direct reports, what are you doing? They should be giving me that for free, and that this will do that. And so she can spend more time on the future and the planning and not just what is happening, you know, right in front of my face. It will be easy to see.
No, I think that's totally on point. You know, the other thing is like, kind of like, to finish my point was what you're tracking really, that's gonna influence what you take action on, like the work orders. And the other thing I was gonna say was, you know, we've talked about doing like at our board retreat, tenant surveys, landlord surveys. I would be fascinated to see what those things show and the actions that we would take in response to those. So another plug on that front, I guess I'd like.
So just last word, this tool has almost unlimited capabilities. So things that you think about can be, you can use this tool to solve a dilemma, right? I want to track this. I want to figure out how this is working. By having this type of tool, you're able to run reports. You can attach and pull data from different places. Let's say Socorro has a report she wants Zulika to see. She can basically link it to that report. That data shows up in the report that Zulika's looking at, and you can go back and look. I mean, that's pretty cool. So if we can use that going forward, I think all of us, our lives will be much less chaotic.
No, that's helpful.
I'm good.
Any other questions on the housing programs report? We have an additional item, invisible item 8F, which Kevin, this was, I think, your idea. No, it might have been mine, actually. This was the property spotlight.
Yeah, Gabby, you got it, pull it up there. So this is the first one. We're gonna do this every meeting. We have a property and then have a spotlight on that particular property and have a fact sheet. I'm still trying to determine how in depth you want this to be, because I almost put per unit calls, per month, all, and then I said, okay, I don't know if they want all that, but we're trying to at least cover the basics, like, you know, when is it open? What the eligibility criteria, who does it serve? What's the tenant selection plan? Who's the, what facilities we have? What's the staff? Financially, what's going on? So with these, we're doing the last audit. So whatever you see on here for finances is after the completion of the last audit. That way we know we have that accurate information. If it's at a loss, what the normal rent collections look like? Who are the funding sources of the property and what type of funding is it? Then for King City, we have rehab, so we put the rehab work on here and what's the expected useful life after that rehab is completed, how much it costs, who's paying for it. And It's 2 loans on the property, so we put both of the loans on there, their maturity date, who they are held with. And I just think that this is a great tool, this was a great idea, because coming into an agency that has this much transition, the hardest thing was to find out what is going on at this property, where does the money come from, who pays it, what's the dates? So if we had something like this on Rippling River or Benito, we wouldn't have been faced with this crisis asking for this 1-year extension. So look at it, see if it's anything that's not on here that you would like to see, because this is gonna be the template kind of going forward. If it's a property that doesn't have one of these items, the item will still be listed, it'll just say not applicable. But if it's something else that you as a commissioner feel like that you would want to see, please let us know. So that we can have it ready on the next one, and we'll go back and add it to this one as well. Because at the end of this, we're gonna have a binder, electronic and physical on every property. And we're gonna do the programs too. We're just doing the properties first. So after we do all the properties, then we'll have one on the HCB program. Human Resources Department, what goes into that? The Development Department, what goes into that? So you can kind of really see how everything go together. So for this one, we have a net loss of $145,381 as of last year. And so immediately, that brings into question, why is it a loss? What are some of the reasons? And just viewing this sheet, Socorro went back to pull the OMS approved budget, because they give us a budget every year to tell us what they'll pay. So now we're just trying to figure out, why are we paying for things outside of the approved budget? One of the things that came up was staff salaries. Well, the staff get a free apartment at this particular complex that they can live at all year round, even though it's only open 6 months. And so that's one reason why OMS defines their payment as one level, but HACM, just because of, I don't know, maybe the union or the COLAs has went well above that level. And so that's part of the $145,000 loss, not all of it, but a part of it. But it makes you start asking these questions to see, where is this coming from?
So when I look at this, it states that there's 82 bedroom units, so that would be equivalent to 80 families, 80.
Yes, because it'd be a whole
Yes.
family in each unit, like Socorro.
Yes. And they're from, they arrived in May and they leave last week of October, first week of November.
How do we find?
I'm sorry?
How do we find them? How do we mark?
Well, we used to do a lot of outreach to agricultural companies. But with the history, a lot of the families word of mouth. So they're familiar with the program, and a lot of the families that do return to the to the center are returning families each year.
So very little new families then.
There's a few, there are a few, but mainly they are returning families.
It's great. I'm a nerd who likes dates, so like, at the bottom, like last updated,
okay.
so that like I know, what's changed. Sorry. I also would love, the little call out of the map, like here's where it is, like that was super helpful today. Like where is it? I mean, I think these are beautiful fields, but if we had a picture of the front of the facilities, so I could like see, like this is what it looked like,
Yeah,
that would
what took
be.
Gabby's defense, she tried to find a picture, but we didn't have.
Kevin, you haven't met this?
Yeah, it's
I
really-
like
it's
this. Look at the
beautiful.
clean lights up here.
And I was thinking about putting the map itself too, but I was like, let me.
Yeah, no, I would love that little cutout of the map, because it's just like, for me, I'm like, where is this? And then I'm always thinking about the next step, so I'm like, okay, how is this accessible to the public? So I went to our website just now, we have a property, like list, like at some point, is this hyperlinked on there? So somebody goes like, greet, King City Migrant Center, I click on the name of it, and then this property detail shows up, like, that would be amazing. Or where's your accessible resource finder for me, in addition to just the binder? Cause that's one thing, whenever I've gone to the website in my work, like, how can I get more information about these things other than I go, it's like South County rad, okay, and then with the person's name.
Well, I'm just so psychic, cause we already doing that. Because with the Yarded Rent Cafe, each property can have their own little mini website, and it's already included in the price. So if somebody wanna look at it, they'll be able to go just King City or South County Red. We just have to build a landing page for each one of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking about it, what's the perspective of the end user, the people that we're trying to serve, and make this information accessible to, how do we make it as transparent and easy to get to as possible? Because as much as I like tell my staff all the time, just pick up the phone and call the person, people don't pick up the phone and call. So when you have the telephone number and some info at email, you're not really creating accessibility in the way that people are currently trying to access information.
Yeah, we're working on that now. With the Yarded Rent Cafe, we'll have links to everything, so people can go on there and actually see the real site. Socorro and them just gotta put it together after they get the essentials, for property management to go live, which is the 5/8 and all the conditions of occupancy and everything. Then they'll set up the property website for each one, and it'll just be a landing page. And so it'll have all the information about the property and probably a link to the waiting list if it's open or if it's closed. But that'll be after the go live date.
Okay, and do any commissioners have any comments?
I just have one. I want to congratulate Pablo Verdugo for the employee spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, he deserves it.
just want to echo the comments.
Go
ahead, and I just want to thank the staff for the reports, very informative. And a big thank you, because what you do really improves the lives of many, many families. It allows them to live in a safe, healthy home. So once again, thank you, Salika, for all that you do as well.
I would just take an opportunity to echo Commissioner Roscoe's comments. I think my sincerest compliments to the staff. I think this has been one of in my fairly long tenure with the organization, probably one of the best and most informative meetings we've ever had. And jokingly, I want to compliment Hans on his stellar idea of the property spotlight. Hans, that was a spectacular idea, and I think that's a trend that we should continue for a long time. And to Yuri's comment, that information should be definitely available to the public. I think it really captures the essence of the organization and what our asset base looks like, and is very transparent. So very well done on that. I'm sure it'll be an iterative process to improve those documents as we move forward, but it's a spectacular start. And I think in closing, I would just offer to the board, coming off of the NELROD conference and my participation in the commissioner components of that conference, I would offer a challenge, as the agency, as the staff, and at Zulika's direction is really raising their game and improving our agency. I would challenge the board that we need to do the same. I think the strategic retreat was a great first step, but I would definitely encourage the board to, find every opportunity to continue our development and enhancement of our offering and value contribution to the agency, as the staff is really demonstrating. So really proud and really appreciative.
Yeah, and obviously this was a super meaty meeting, so I wanted to thank the staff for hanging out here till 8-10 at night. I know a lot of you have to drive, to get home, and it's late. And then, I guess Zulika, I also wanted to, commend you. I mean, I'm just always really impressed by how much you're able to get done, like in a day, because I get like I don't know, a tenth of what you get done. I mean, these development deals that you're involved in and, you know, just the things with being shorthanded on directors. I mean, it really is pretty incredible how much you're able to move forward and do it well. So hats off to you there. And with that, we're gonna adjourn at 8:11.
Thank you so much. Sorry for everybody being so late. Thank y'all for staying.